Hi, fifth grade. Welcome back to another wonderful and fabulous day of math review. Today is Thursday, October 8th, and we are going to be talking about comparing numbers. So today's Edulastic assignment will ask you to compare values of numbers, and you're going to use what you learn in this video to help you complete that assignment. At the top of my sheet, you see that I have some information here. I'm going to go over that information first before we start doing problems together. So you will need your slate and a marker or paper and pencil to do those problems with me. Grab those materials now if you need. Okay, so when we're comparing numbers, we always compare numbers by stacking them on top of each other by place value. So that means that we stack them on top of each other, making sure that the place values are lined up. We're not worried about the digits lining up, but we want the place values to line up. Then we compare the values starting in the largest place value and work our way to the right. So let's keep that in mind as we try number one. Number one, we need to compare 8,076 and 8,706. We need to circle the one that's bigger. We cannot compare numbers by just looking at them. We have to stack them by place value. So I'm going to write the first number, 8,076. And then I'm going to line up my place values of the second number under this. So that 8 is in the thousands place, I'm going to make sure I put it under the other 8 in the thousands place. The 7 is in the hundreds place, so I'm going to put it under the 0 in the hundreds place. The 0 is in the tens place, so I'm going to make sure that lines up perfectly. And that 6 is in the ones place, so I'm going to put that in the ones place underneath the other 6. Now that I have these numbers lined up by place value, I can start comparing them. We start comparing with the largest place value because if we want to find the number that is larger, it makes sense to start at the largest place value so we can know what's the biggest difference between them. What are you noticing about the two digits in the thousands place? Thousands place. I'm noticing that those two digits are the same. They're both 8. So that place value doesn't tell us much about which number is bigger than the other since they have the same digit. When that happens, we go to the next place value. In the hundreds place, I have a 0 and then I have a 7. Which value is going to be larger? The 7 in the hundreds place is worth more. It's worth 700. The 0 in the hundreds place has no value. So because we moved to the next place value, that hundreds place, we were able to figure out which number is bigger. And it's our second number, 8,706, because it has a 7 in the hundreds place and the other number only has a 0 in the hundreds place. We've already figured out which number is bigger, so we don't even have to compare the rest of the place values. Moving on to number 2. I want you to set up your two numbers for number 2 by stacking them on top of each other by place value. Do that now. Okay, I'm going to start by writing my first number. It's 7 and 5/100. Next, I need to write my second number underneath. I need to stack according to place value. So there's a 7 in the ones place. I'll line that up. Then I'm going to put my decimal. There's a 5 in the tens place, so I'll put that in the tens place. And then there's a 0 in the hundreds place. Now I want you to use our strategy for comparing them. Start at the largest place value and compare the value of those digits, and work your way to the right. In the ones place, I see that both digits are a 7. What does that tell us? Because both digits are 7s in the ones place, it doesn't help us figure out which number is bigger. So we need to move to the next place value. And the next place value is the 10th place. There's a 0 in the 10th place and there's a 5 in the 10th place. What are you noticing? Which digit is worth more and has a larger value? The 5 in the 10th place is worth more than a 0 in the 10th place. So right away, I know that 7 and 50 hundredths is larger than 7 and 5 hundredths because the 5 in the 10th place in 7 and 50 hundredths is bigger than the 0 in the 10th place in 7 and 5 hundredths. So we don't even need to go to the next place value. We stopped at the 10th place and we were able to figure out which number was bigger. Next, you're going to try number 3. First, I want you to set up your numbers by stacking them, and then I want you to determine which number is bigger. Okay, first I'll write the first number, 47 and 600. Next, we have to line up our second number by place value. There's a 4 in the tens place, a 7 in the ones place, then there's a 1 in the tenths place. Let's start comparing. I'm noticing that in the tens place, both digits are 4. So we don't know which number is bigger because they have the same value in the tens place. Let's move to the ones place. I'm noticing again that in the ones place, they have the same digit. So we still can't tell which number is bigger because they have the same value in the ones place. Let's move to the tenths place. I'm noticing that in the tenths place, there's a 0 and then there's a 1. Which value is larger? Correct. 47 and 1/10 is larger because the 1 in the tenths place is larger than the 0 in the tenths place. Even though 47 and 600ths has more digits, that does not mean that the value is larger. 47 and 1/10 is the larger number because in the tens place, it has a 1, but in the other number, the tens place has a value of 0. So don't think that just because a number has more digits and that it's longer, that it's automatically going to be bigger. That's not true. As a reminder, when you're comparing numbers, you should always stack them by place value. And then to compare them, you should start at the largest place value and work your way to the right, comparing each place value. Now you're going to get started on your Edulastic assignment for today's Math-A-View. Use what we learned today in Math-A-View to help you answer questions about comparing numbers.